Hi guys, my name is Christine, and today I'm talking about if you're seeing this video, you are going to be rich. So if it's been a long-term goal of yours, and it's something that you've thought about for a long time, that you are going to be rich, then more than likely you actually are going to be rich because it's just something that's just in your mind and it's something that you really want. And that's basically all you need. If you've got that desire there. Okay, so there's a couple of things that can help with this. Okay, this specific thing of becoming rich. And the first one is this. Okay, and it's all about a certain mindset that you got to adopt. And if you adopt this mindset, you will become rich. And that is, you're not going to quit. So if you really desire to be wealthy, and you've got a certain amount of money that you would really like to have, and you promise to yourself, and you vow to yourself that you're never going to quit, you will eventually get there. It's not a matter of if it's going to happen, it's just a matter of time. So that's one of the first ways that you know, and that I know that you'll be rich, is you're not going to quit. You're going to keep going and basically try every trick in the book until you get what it is that you want, until you get the money that you want. So you're not going to quit. So one of the things that has really helped me, and I've talked about this a few times in my videos, and that is a technique by Brian Tracy. Okay, and this is called the 20 list. The 20 list. Now, the 20 list is a great way that you can find ways to get the money that you want. Okay, in fact, you can use it for pretty much everything. But if you're trying to manifest a certain amount of money, if you're trying to become rich in some shape or form, then the best thing for you to do right now is to write down 20 ways on how you can achieve that. Okay. Now, the first 5 things are going to be very easy because they're probably things that you've been thinking about already. But the more you get further down the list and you reach that number 20, the harder it is to think outside the box and think of new ways that you can achieve that. Okay, but what you'll often find, and this is what I always find as well, and Brian Tracy was completely right about this, but when you get to number 20, okay, and you're really scraping for ideas on how to get that certain amount of money, that is often when you'll find the right answer. That is often, that number 20 is often the one thing that you need. And recently, as I've just already discussed on this channel, on this specific channel, because I do have another channel as well called Christine Loveridge, which is a dating and relationship channel. But for this channel specifically, I really wanted this one to become monetized recently. And I was able to do that by using that formula. Okay. And it was surprisingly, okay, well, not surprisingly, that number 20 on that list was the one that really helped skyrocket this channel to becoming monetized. So all the watch time, the subscribers, all manifested because of that number 20 that I took action on. Okay, so that's one way that you can do it. That's one way that you can find a way to create that money. And also what's cool about making that list, especially if everything on your list is different. Okay, so that's one of the key things here. Down from number 1 to 20, they're all different ideas. They're 20 different ideas and how you can achieve that amount of money. Now, what I find is that 20 is actually a really good list. Okay, it's a good list to like check off and try and do all the different things. Okay, so not only is a great way to find out what it is that you actually need to do to create that money, but you've also then got a bit of a to-do list of, okay, so maybe one of the things that you are trying to achieve here is creating, that maybe you've got a YouTube channel yourself, and one of those things that maybe you thought of on your 20 list was to create merch. And then you're like, okay, well, I haven't done that yet, so that's a good to-do list item. Yeah, it could be that you need to write a book. Okay, you think that if you had a book, that would really help your brand and things like that. And you're like, okay, well, I'll write a book. And that's something else you can do. So it's actually a really cool to-do list as well. But that number 20, there's something magic about that number 20, the last thing on the list. Okay, so the next thing that I want to talk about with you is this. If you really want to become rich, you have to know it. You have to know that you are going to become rich. Okay? So, you got to look at how much you trust the process. If you don't believe in some way that you're going to become rich, then it's very unlikely that you will. Okay? But let's say, for example, you've always had an instinct. Even when you're quite young, maybe someone said to you, oh, you're going to be really rich someday, or you're going to be really famous someday. And let's say you believed them, okay, at a very early age, okay? And because our minds are really susceptible when we're young, that probably embedded into your subconscious mind. So if anyone has ever said to you something like that, and you believed them, that really helps, okay? So you've got to get to this place of knowing. Of course, that's not the only way that you can develop that knowing that you're going to be rich. Okay, but if you trust and you just know that you're just always destined to be wealthy, and that you knew that you were going to be the first person in your family to become a millionaire or something like that, and you just know it on a very instinctual level, then yeah, you are going to be rich. It's going to get there, one shape or form, especially if you've got that first mindset that I've talked about, which is that you're never going to quit. You're going to keep on trying out new things until you find something that works, until you find a way to get the wealth that you know that you are going to receive. So you got to have that knowing and that trust that, yes, I know I'm going to be rich. I know I can see it in my mind. I can see it happening. I can see myself, surrounded by riches or whatever it is that you're visualizing. It could be that you don't want, actual monetary richness. You may want a richness of health or a richness of love, or it could be any of those things. But if you know that you're going to have an abundant life in some shape or form, then more than likely you will have that abundant life in some shape or form. It will come to you. Okay, but it's all about knowing and trusting and believing that it's going to happen. Now, if you are struggling with trusting and knowing and believing that you're going to be rich, then what I suggest you do is this, okay? If you've done that 20 list, you've now got 20 ways that you can create more wealth, okay? So if you start taking action on that list, and you start doing the things on that list, and you start taking action, what you'll begin to do is you'll begin to develop a belief, okay? Because first of all, you're taking action, okay? So that's going to help, okay? You're doing something to make something happen. So that gives you some belief because you're taking action. Now, of course, you don't have to take action in order to manifest wealth. There are other ways that you can do it. There are metaphysical ways that people have created abundance, okay? But because we live in a 3D reality, I think it's always the best idea to work with metaphysical things and also to take action in the 3D. We don't have to hate the 3D and just only want to use the 5D or the 4D to manifest things. We can work in conjecture with the 3D and with the metaphysical side of things. Okay, so you can use things like visualization and meditation, okay, and reading books by Neville Goddard and doing meditations by Joe Dispenza. You can do all those things, of course. And those things are great to help you keep you refreshed and inspired and uplifted. Gives you a bit of spiritual juice, okay, to help you get through the day. Okay, but it's also okay to be doing physical action and taking action. And I also think as well that when you're doing both of these things, things just work out a lot better. At least that's what I found for me. If I take action and I'm also meditating and visualizing, the work that I do is just so much more effective. Okay, the 3D work that I do is more effective if I'm also doing the metaphysical stuff. Okay, so don't knock the 3D. Okay, take action as well, but of course, still meditate, still visualize, still pump yourself up with positive emotions and affirmations, because that always helps, and it will give you an unfair advantage. Okay, so take action. Don't forget to meditate and visualize, and you will eventually get there, especially if you do everything on that 20 list. Okay? Take action. Because the reason why that will help, okay, you believe and trust and know is because you know that you're not BSing yourself. Because if you're only using affirmations or something like that, maybe on some level you don't believe that it's going to happen because you're only using metaphysical things. But if you're also doing things in the 3D and you're taking physical action to make things happen, it helps you believe more. Okay, it helps you believe when you do the affirmations because you've got some evidence that you're actually trying to make things happen as well. You've got physical evidence and you've got the mental, the spiritual evidence. Okay, and when you have both of those things and those things interlock, you start to develop that belief and that trust and that knowing. Okay, so that's what I suggest that you do if you're trying to become more, just believe in yourself more and trust that you're going to be rich. Okay, and I know though, if you've decided that you're never going to quit and you're going to keep on going and you're going to keep on taking action and you're going to keep on meditating, visualizing, and you're just going to keep on believing in yourself that you're going to be rich one day, then you will. Okay, so thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to get in touch with me personally, then you can go to www.christineloveridge.com, but it's not necessary because I've got a lot of videos here that you can watch. You don't need to speak to me specifically or get coaching with me. So thank you so much for watching, and I shall talk to you again very soon. Goodbye.